Hello and thank you for tuning into my video today. My name's Sherry of Sher's Crochet and this is my latest make. I've made a cross-body crochet starburst granny bag and the starburst granny pattern for the cowgirl hat. Today's video, it'll be just showing you how I assemble them. To actually see how I make the starburst granny square, there is a video and I will link it down below. I just wanted to show you how we put together the cowgirl hat in an easy manner, easier than you think. Nice and simple with just a few squares and single crochet. The bag is same thing, it's 2 granny squares and is lined. We'll show you how to do the lining as well and put the handles on. So stay with me and I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe. So I've got this lovely pink hat to cover. I'm going to do the pink starburst granny square, which has got 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds. I'm going to do enough to cover the full hat and underneath. So I'm just cracking on with making these, but all I'm going to do now is just pin them where I want them, and then I know how many to make and make sure that I make enough. These are the colours that I'm going to be using for the starburst granny squares to go on the hat. So I do some pink and then I cover the grey and then I do the whites last. I do them in little batches. There I've made some, one triangle, 1 square and all of the other squares in the 5 round pattern. So I've blocked the top of the hat onto the hat. I've sprayed it with water and let it set, and then I've just gone so far just with the double crochet stitch, and when I get up to this end I'm going to do like a pink rib. I'm increasing as I go. Every 6 stitches I'll increase 1 or 5 and then it increase on the 6th till we get to the top, and then I'll do the same when we're going back. So I'll show you when we get to the pink. So I've changed this a little bit. I've decided to just do 1 granny starburst on the top, but I've made it into like an oval so that it fits the top of the hat. And then I'm doing the brim in the single crochet rather than a double crochet. So I'm going to get ready to sew them together now. So I want to sew the top of the hat on. I want to show you how I do it. So I've made this more of an oval shape that will match the oval shape of the top of the cowgirl hat. And I've just kind of levelled it up. So we've got the same amount of, I've got a couple of extra rows here and a couple of extra rows at the top and just starburst granny in the middle. I'm going to try and balance this phone here. It does say it's magnetised, so I can show you how I actually do it. It is quite difficult. Not difficult to do it, difficult to hold the camera is the worst part of it. So we're going to just grab that's the centre. I've already marked the centre of the hat, and then we're going to fold up this, so we're going to get the centre of your granny square, your granny oval. And I'm going to pick that up and take the centre of there. So we're just going to put that into place. Then we're going to do the opposite side. So the middle of your 2 squares was the bottom, and that is going to be pinned just there. I've got a normal pin. I've got anything you can grab hold of. I sometimes use spare bits of yarn. Now for this, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to do the crochet stitch. Now this is going to be all nice and straight. Well, that's a bit of a slant there. So I'm just going to nip it together, like a little pasty. So I'm just going to nip it together, and then I'm going to just join on some yarn, like half prominent and half not prominent. So what I'm going to do is just pinch your both sides together And I'm going to pick up from the little V from this side. Can you see that? The V from there, and then go on straight to the opposite side of your V and pull it over. I'm going to it's just an over stitch. So I'm going through both sides of your V's. So you've got like 4 of your loops and pull together. So it'll give a slight ridge, but not a full crochet ridge. And when you use your crochet, it would take up more yarn as well. So hopefully I've left enough yarn of all my bits and bobs to do it all the way around. You know, bits and bobs, one here, one at the top. So just move your hat around. Don't try and lean over. Move it to in front of you, this stitching. Please like and subscribe, because I'm only getting 90-something% of people that are watching my videos. 90 odd aren't subscribed. 90 odd% aren't subscribed. Just to get me out there. Promise the kids I could be a YouTuber. Here I am, YouTubing it. Doing my best. So keep that, as well as keeping it so it's in camera shot. But once we get it onto the hat as well, which I've done before, and I'll do it again, I've done it before, is when it's all ready onto the hat, I'll Febreze it with a bit of water in it, the Febreze, and just spray it all over the hat to make it a little bit damp. And then I just let it set onto the hat. And it kind of blocks it in its place. Years ago, I worked at Kangol factory, and we made, you know, the famous Kangol hats. And I was on the sewing machines there, but we had blocking stations where all the hats went in to be blocked. And I think it was like a steam. So the lads used to put the hats on these blocks and then steam them and then take them back off. And they'd be like in a perfect berry shape. So we used to make all the fancy berries and that. What a shame. That was a great factory. Some of my best years have been working in the factory, even though I've worked in hairdressing for years and years and years. The best laughs have been. So here I am, I'm just fastening it off. And then I'm going to just thread it back and back and back and back. Now, inside this hat, I have sewn in all the ends because I keep finding them poking through. So I'm trying to sew them all in. So I've got this bit of doodahs here, an extra piece of thread. So that's working from the top. Just still make sure you're happy with your shape. Make sure that it's the center where you want to be. So I'm just going to move that out of my way. I thought I was going to have to lick the needle then. I seen somebody's TikTok and they said, oh yeah, instead of licking the thread, your yarn to get through the needle, lick the needle. And I did. And every time it's worked. And I think, how the hell? How? Somebody please explain. I've also been commissioned to do a bag, and I absolutely love it. So that'll be coming up. I've done it, but I'm going to make a tutorial how I done it. I need to learn how to write a pattern because I've seen bits. I've done it by eye. So she just said, "I like this," and I didn't know where it was from, where the picture was from. So I done pieces like that picture, and then I couldn't see one side of it, so I thought, oh, I'll just make it up as I go along, and I did. And then, yeah, and since I've made it, loads of people want it now. So if I remember which I probably won't, I'll put, it's called a clutch bag, you know, like a chunky crochet clutch bag. So that video will be coming up soon as well. And also I need to put a video there of my health. It's not great, but I don't want to talk about it on here because not everybody knows and not everybody cares. Not feeling sorry for myself. It's just that people aren't here for my health. They're here to see a tutorial on a cowgirl hat, so I will shut up about everything else. But yeah, other videos to follow, and if you subscribe, you'll already know. And if you want to know about my battles with the big old C, subscribe and have a look on my channel, and there's dedicated videos about my cancer journey. Right, so I'm just trying to get rid of some of them ends. I haven't bought my snippers, so I'm just going to do that. See how the edge, it's just made it like, wait, I get that. So it's made the edge like a ridge, but not too ridgy. Oh, but I know what I mean. See how it just sits nice. So I'm really, really happy with that. Now, next I'm going to join the pink on. So I'll just finish up this, show you that when it's finished, and then come back to you when I'm adding the pink. That's the top all sewn in, and I've done 3 rows of single crochet. So what I'm hoping to do now, well, what I'm going to do is join on the white and then start decreasing. So in every, maybe do a decrease every 10 stitches for this round, and then decrease on the underside until we get to the center. So I'm going to join on the white now and start decreasing. So we'll just get this, will be just on the very, very lip, which is looking good. So that's it, we've started on the underneath side. So I've got the pinks lining up on the edge, and then I'm just decreasing every, well, I've decreased every 10, and then I've gone down to every 6. So I'll probably do 5, 4, 3, and then try it back on again, because this will have to come in quick on these as it gets closer to the center circle. From now on, it's attached to the brim. I've fitted it nice. I've took my time getting the lines right round on the edge. So all I'm going to do is single crochet as it's attached. So basically you're just holding it and popping it through your normal, where you would normally crochet, but you're just going to do it very carefully while it's on the hat. And then you can make any adjustments. So I can pull it tighter or make it, you know, if I'm getting to this part and I want it a bit looser, I just do it a bit looser. I'm working round the brim and just going around until we get to the inner centre of the circle, to the hat head part. So I know it looks a bit odd, but if you just keep this quite tight, you work and yarn. And then you just get yourself into a rhythm of just working. Yeah, try not to drop your stitch. If it does feel loose anyway, you can always put the crochet 2 together again, but I've done that all the way down at the beginning. So I've crocheted 2 together every 10, 6, 5, 5, and then on these rows I've just done them all, kept them the same count, and now it's fitted if I wanted to, but I think at the moment it's quite stretched, so I don't need to tighten it up anywhere. don't think it's working out like a little mesh design. So I'll work round and round till we get to this edge, and then I'll tie it off. That's what it's looking on the edge, just nice and neat on the edge. So I've made 2 more squares, but I've carried on round, and then I've done a single crochet in the white, then the pink, grey, and then double crochet for the corners. And I'm going to stick a piece of lining paper, stick a piece of lining fabric on the inside. If you want to make a strap, to get nice edges on your strap, or even on the side of any crochet really, but I definitely stick to this method when I'm doing the strap. So we'll chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So really my strap's going to be 5 chains width. So I'll be taking that first one and just ignoring it, and then single crochet into the rest of them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Just really fiddly when it's this small, and I'm looking through the camera lens. 5. I don't think that looks right for some reason. Anyways, so instead of chaining 1, you turn and just single crochet into the very first stitch. Some people do like a chain or this or that, but I'm just gonna actually go right back into that first chain and single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that last one looks a bit of a strange, so we're just going to take that into there. It'll be better than a couple of rows, and then I can show you. So I want to go right through there. Yeah, because I haven't picked up the full loop there, so I want to pick up the full loop, not part of the loop. See, that was only like the front half, so we need to pull it where we can find the back of the stitch there, and into the last one. We want to turn and just pull the yarn behind the work and single crochet right away into that first one. No chains. 2, 3, 4, and then into the very last one. The last one's always going to be a little bit fiddly. As long as you get it through the both sets of, you know, both the sides of the V, there's your V's there. So when you come down to the end, just getting it through this last piece there. So we're going to turn again and single crochet into that first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, turn and single crochet. So we just can go at our normal speed now, or else I'll be here all day. And it is hard because you automatically do, you just want to put a chain there, but you've just got to remember twist, twist and shout into that last. So what you will see as well is as your work starts to grow, you won't have any side bumps because you're incorporating them into, you know, it's not going to be like a chain, then a turn, and then a crochet, which makes this would be sticking out. So you're eliminating that. So you're just going to turn, single crochet right away. And for my straps, I usually like them about, well, for the over the body one, over the shoulder, about 100 stitches. So this will 100 chain normally. So this will be 100 rows. So it's nice and easy. You keep nice and close to your work. Now see that there, that's because I didn't go through the full of the V. So I'll just go back, and there's the back of the stitch. I've only went through one there, so the other one's there. You can just see that, so I need to pick that up. I've still not gone through it. So you've got the V, that's what I mean by the V. So I take that out of the way. That's your V. And it just keeps it in strength. So you're not, if I'd have just kept it on the single, so now you're going to be, it's going to grow and you're going to have a nice edge to it. And he chained. Forgot what I was saying then. Editing Sherry will pick up what I was going to say and just write a little caption. So sometimes on my bags I'll be putting inner and outer border, so it won't really matter about these, but as long as you try and keep, you need to keep the strength. If you're dropping a stitch, you're losing half of your stitch, so it's not going to be the strength. That's what I was going to say, because when you're having a handle, it needs to keep the strength. So I'm going to do 100 rows, and then we'll attach them to our bag, and then we'll line it. Okay, so when I do my linings, I just kind of wing it really. What I'm wanting to do is just do a lining for the bag. So I want to make as little, what's the word? I don't want to take a lot of fabric. So I'm just going to work it out here. I want the fabric slightly bigger than, the lining bigger than the bag slightly, because I want the crochet to stretch out to the fabric, if that makes sense. So just a rough just a rough cut. I'll be doing a 1/4 inch seam. Oops. Don't come at me for this bag lining, it's just, it's not got to be perfect, it'll be perfectly fine. So now I'm just going to sew down the edges, sew up the sides and around the bottom on the sewing machine. This is inside out, is it? Yeah, this is inside out, and I will come back to you shortly when I've done that. So there's two ways I would do this. So I would turn the bag this way. I'm going to do is turn the bag outside, so it's got the right sides facing out. So that's the way it's going to be, and we'll trim off all these ends later. And then your bag, you want to be on the inside, so you'll turn off, give it a quick press. No, it was right the first time, wasn't it? Yeah. So you need to, let me think. When you dip into your bag, you need to see the inside of this. So yeah, that's the outsides. Then you just fold it over, pop it inside your little bag, and then go off to your corner, to corner. So when you look inside, that's the good side of your bag, of your lining. There we go. Just make sure it's well tucked in to down to the corners. Let me see. Yeah, just make sure it's nice and flat. So I've made this a little bit too big, coming out this way, which is fine. So I'm just gonna go back to the machine and turn it in again, just so that it makes it nice and neat, so we're not popping out this way. Okay, so the other way that I was thinking, you could turn your lining in the right way. You would put your bag inside out, so your out was facing to the lining, and then you just push this down. Now I want to make sure that the lining doesn't cover this part of the bag, so that's there where we can see. And then you could attach your handles now. So I want the handles, I've made them as I've shown you before. So I want one on one side, and I want it to be crossbody bags. In my mind, I want to put the handles there. I'm just going to grab my pins. So it's just going to pop that there. Tuck that into there somewhere. And sew carefully around the lining. Where I'm not, sometimes I put my little taggy as well. So I have a little tag of my name on, I forgot that. But this is just a practice one anyway. And then on the opposite side, so make sure that you've got your, if there's no twists, I want it to be on the opposite side of the bag. So that'll be this side. Tuck it into there. And pin. So pin through all of the layers. So now, because we're on, it's quite thick, you can go onto your machine, or you could just do it by hand, because if you've done it by hand, I wanted a little gap so when you lift it up you don't see the lining, and I'm going to put a press stud there. So that's what it's going to look like. I am going to do mine on the machine, fingers crossed. Hopefully it'll go over, so it'll be just sewn nice and neatly. I'll come back when I've done that at the machine. If it doesn't work, I'll show you how I do it by hand. So this is the lining sewn to my crochet bag. the moment of truth is upon us. Let's see. So I'm going to turn the bag back to the right side. I do have some little ends to cut off and a little press stud to put in. So that is the bag with the lining, nice and neat. Plenty of room at the top, so I'll put my little, you could either put a button there, which, I think I might put a, like a toggle button. That would be cute. So you could put a button there or a press stud, but it's quite deep, enough to put your phone in. Nice little festival bag, and as you've seen, it goes with the cowgirl hat that I've made for this video. So I'd like to thank you once again for watching. Stay tuned, not stay tuned, but come back, because I'm up to no good. I'm making lots of bags. Well, I've made a lot of bags. I haven't felt like videoing myself, but that's another story. So I'll be videoing myself putting all the bags and all of the linings together. Just want to check through that you've got all your little ends in. You want to make sure that it's nice and neat, nice and flat. There we have it. Oh, so cute. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.